Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Front Run Footballcast, a podcast. It's a Monday, which means we will be reviewing some of the weekend's football action. Before we get on to what I have on the menu today, let me introduce the gentleman who need no introduction on the show. Actually, I'm going to start on my far right, John Timak from The Citizen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lorato. Good evening.
You,
Don't need an introduction.
Apparently not.
Oh, okay.
But I got one. It was good.
We are also joined by...
Make it good, Lord.
We're also joined by Mazola. So Kaladuma journalist. Welcome, Mazola, into the show.
Okay, thanks.
Was that
Nana.
good enough for you?
Yeah, that's so good. That's good.
And then on my left, we put Brian Ofigeng from the SABC. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. I mean, you had to put the booty part. That's quite nice. I feel more respected than all these guys in here, which is quite nice.
Okay, gentlemen. The MTN 8. That's what we're going to be starting with tonight. And then we move on to the refereeing. Should referees disclose which team they support? I can't wait to get to that one. And then under 23 draw, how difficult it is. They drawn against Nigeria and teams like Zambia also. Norman Mapeza signed a 3-year deal with PSL team, Chipa United.
I heard he only brought a toiletry bag at Norman Mapeza. Just a toiletry bag because he knows.
And he bought a return ticket.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
who knows what might happen after 2 games.
Absolutely.
You know how it...
Absolutely.
The MTN 8 final, Orlando Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
The stadium was sort of packed. Your thoughts on...
Yeah, decent turnout, I thought. I'm sure the sponsors worked extremely hard. I remember the last time there was a cup final there was Gordon at SuperSport, Platinum Stars, and SuperSport United 2014. I remember because I had just had my first child. Oh, I didn't have the child. My wife had
It's okay. We
Miracle of science.
SuperSport United and Platinum Stars. SuperSport again returned to Orlando Stadium. Look, first half, I was a little bit bored, but it was always going to be tough. And, at the end of the day, for me, either one of the two coaches would have deserved the trophy. I thought Owen's team, and these guys know I always rave on about how fit that team is. And someone was like, you can be fit, but you're not going to win game. I said, no, the fitter you are, the more you can do. And it almost proved it to a degree in that even in that cup final that they kept pushing SuperSport right up until the last minute. And they were unfortunate, really. I think Simang should have scored that header that hit the post. But well deserved to Caetano. Deserves a trophy. He missed the same competition last season against Benny. Has gone all the way. Unfortunate for Owen. Would have also loved for him to get a trophy. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, it wasn't that much of an entertaining. It wasn't a thriller, let's be honest. But a cup final to remember for some, not for me, but for some, cup final to remember.
John, to your summary of the match?
Well, I think, Highlands Park had their share of chances, and like Mazola just mentioned, hitting the post from when you're standing on the goal line. Maybe it's not your day, I don't know, but you kind of expect to score from there. I think someone like Shalulile or Andorra would have buried that. But yeah, I think for Bradley Grobler, again, he's just proving to be the sniper of the season. He just can't stop scoring and important goals too. And he was the right man in the right place with that header. For Tamsanka Kabuza, it was a sort of mixed emotion game, I guess, but he won man of the match and he won a medal coming from Pirates. That's amazing. Amazing for him. And I think that SuperSport team, like they've had a really, really good start to the season, and this just is the cherry on top. Now they just need to sustain it, because it kind of fell apart for them. Was it under Tinkler when they won the MTN? The whole season just went to shreds after that.
They had the Confed Cup.
Yeah, they had the Confed Cup and they got to the final of that. But after that, it was all downhill. So, but they've got a really good squad, and I think they've got a squad that can sustain a challenge this season. Dean Furman is a good leader. They've just got that. Evans Ruzik has done really well as well. So I think they've done well, and for Highlands Park, I think they did well just to get to the final. Yeah. And they can take plenty of pluses from that. They've also had a really good start to the ABSA Premiership. So if they can build on that, I think they're going to do well this season. I think they're a strong team, and I think Owen Dagama's done a great job with them.
Yeah, he definitely did. I would Brian Eric
I mean, gentlemen spoke about it. I think it was, for me, it was, the nice thing about it is you had two teams who were not fancy to reach the final, given the way they played. I mean, SuperSport, when they were going to play Sundowns, we all thought, you know what, Sundowns might want to win this, but Peter made it clear that, you know what, you need to focus on certain things. You don't want to go for everything at some stage. And it was a masterclass, the performance they gave against Sundowns to win the two-legged match.
Yeah.
And for them to get to the final, they look more buoyed to try and come out and show what they can do and show their class also, given the fact that, I mean, the last time they were at Orlando Stadium in 2012, they lost in a final against Morocco Swallows. Yeah. So it was always going to be a situation to say, we're coming back here in the same tournament, 7 years later, can we do it this time around? And, the team they have, Kabu's a fairly new player in the team, but he's changed a role. He's playing a different role from the one we used to play at Pirates. Because he was always a target man in Pirates, and he has become more the supplier. Yeah. He's got 3 goals, got two assists, also played a second touch before the assist for the goal that was scored on Saturday. So it just shows the dynamic that Kaitano Temba has brought into the team. For him to eventually win his first trophy as a head coach was also good news to see that happening for him. Mazola can talk about as much about the fitness. I think Highlands Park are by far the fittest team in the league that we have. Simone Conley is doing very well, the team there. She's a fitness fanatic. Yeah, she wanted to train me and I ran away. I realized I'm not going to survive here. So, I mean, but I think for those that they decided to go and watch game, the neutrals who went out there, because the two teams don't have the best support in the country. Highlands Park, unless they play their matches at Mahulong, they don't really have the sort of numbers they would like to have. SuperSport, the same goes for them. They're building numbers now and then with more fans coming in to support them, but it was a good spectacle.
It was.
I think Highlands Park, for me, you mentioned Ndoro, I can need Ramagalele in that game. Ramagala would have done very well. The chances they created going forward, Mokhaila was just too much at some point. He wanted to do it so much for everybody else, just couldn't get it right. And by the time they started to, Shalulile also was always, you have been marked by 2 players. You got Clayton Daniels on one side, Dean Furman tracking back to try and close you down. It was always going to be difficult for the young Namibian. And I think at the end of the day, the better team won.
Mazola, you spoke of Simango's miss in the game. Yeah. So many chances that Highlands Park had, but they could not bury them. And I mean, going on to lose by 1-0, that hurts. Knowing that you had such plenty of chances scoring in the game. So was it a loss for Highlands Park? Yeah,
look, I mean, you could see Owen even in his post-match conference. I mean, I don't necessarily, because I wasn't necessarily at the game, so I don't know in his post-match with the written press just how his demeanor was. But on TV, you could see that this is a man who felt they could have nicked it. So I don't know if it's a loss in terms of maybe the confidence, but. Look, I personally think they would have thought themselves underdogs going. I mean, we're talking about Cup Kings to some degree, right? Talking about a team that's over the last 4 years, they've probably won more domestic cup competitions than any other club, because Sundown's been dominating the championship. Okay, Chiefs under Baxter, we know they haven't won a trophy in 4 years. Pirates haven't won a trophy in 5 years. But in between that space, you've had SuperSport dominating the domestic cup competition. So I don't necessarily think Owen would have gone. Yes, he would have believed that they would win the game, and given the amount of chances that they had. And how do you miss from 2 feet?
Yeah, it looked very difficult. It looked easier to.
It's easy.
To score than miss that,
and he still missed it with the keeper out of sight, and they wouldn't have gotten a better chance than that in the match. So from that point of view, I think that's why Owen would have felt aggrieved, given that and he didn't want to criticize them too much. Yes, they've got into a final, but I think behind closed doors, it's a bit of a hairdryer treatment.
I mean, just to come in there, you're talking about the chances they had. There were 2 which were ruled offside, which were incorrectly ruled offside. Yeah. And those for me would have changed the game, because every time the ball was played in and you realize the player will actually realize that the flag is up and has been waved to be offside, they'll stop. which were two good chances where Ronan Williams came out. We have to also give credit. The goalkeeper came out. He played to the whistle purely. He came out and saved the ball, even though it was already flagged for offside. But he still came out to make sure if anything changes, at least you'd have covered the side. Those for me were the key one. The one was Mvalas, the one you most mentioned about Msimango. There was another one in Shalulile also, who just played on side. But the two players, the defenders of SuperSport United, especially in Tlapo, was a bit static. He never moved and pushed up early enough. And he's the one that played them twice on side.
Yeah.
Mudiba played them twice also the third time,
Yeah.
which the two were ruled out, and the other one was correctly ruled out. But the other two were very suspect. And I think that's a topic for referees that will come up later
Yes,
on.
of course.
But that's just something that I feel that had they scored one of those goals, surely you would have actually seen more fireworks going forward in a game.
You see then, Brian, why then Owen would feel even more aggrieved then, you know?
Yeah.
Because he definitely would have spotted those decisions and even felt even worse when he looks at the monitor maybe or reviews the game later on at home or whenever, you know, to see that you come so close against a team that, look, yes, as I said earlier, they were favorites, but given how good Highlands also had been in the competition to get there, they would have also felt that they could have won. And I think it would have just changed their season. I mean, this is a team second season in top flight since they were promoted the season before. They finished in the top 8 and, you know, going all the way into the final. Already they've started the season fairly okay, not the best of starts, but fairly okay. And I think that would have just pushed them to believe that they can swim with the big boys.
I think it depends, because, you know, you had Barocco win the Telkom last season. Their season pretty much went to pieces after that. Depends. It can get to the heads of the players as well. You know, they win a cup and then they go mental and, you know, have a big party and then they come back and they're not. So it can work both ways. That's what I'm saying. SuperSport, you know, I think maybe it's better for Highlands Park that SuperSport won it, because now Highlands Park will remain level-headed, and SuperSport will remain level-headed, I expect anyway, because they've had so much experience of winning cups and all that.
Speaking of experience, Mazola did mention that SuperSport United are no strangers when it comes to cup finals. Would you say that their experience really showed in the game against Highlands Park?
Yeah, Mazola obviously did mention that as well, which is, they are the cup kings. But they win the 2014 Telkom knockout, 2015 and 2016 Nedbank Cup, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and 2 MTN 8s in 3 years, plus they reached the final of the other one. And it's quite an amazing record. So. And they've got players that have been there all along. You know, Caetano Temba's been part of the SuperSport coaching staff all along, I would think. And they've really got the experience and the pedigree when it comes to cup finals, and they really are, the team that have that resolve. I think the one thing missing, obviously, is since 2010 they haven't really, they haven't won the title and they haven't massively challenged for it. So I think that when I spoke to Stan Matthews, the CEO, he did say a couple of seasons ago, he said that's what we really want, actually, is the league. They want the league. So they want to challenge at least for the league with Sundowns and possibly Chiefs if they can carry on doing what they're doing.
They've got the team for it. They definitely have the team for it.
And they've got the squad and they've got the team, and I think they can push on this season. And it's about sustaining the level that they're at the moment, because they had a blip when they lost to Polokwane City, but mostly they've had really good results in the league as well. Yeah.
Speaking of Caetano, his second season in charge, winning his first trophy with the team, with SuperSport United, that's far better and huge for him.
It is indeed. I mean, he made it clear before the final that, this one he missed last year against Benny, and he wants to get this. And, you always sit down as a coach and say, people never remember how good your team was. They remember the silverwares you actually brought in. How many trophies did you win? And as a coach, if you had never won this one over the weekend, we're still going to be regarded to say one of those upcoming coaches, even though he's been around for the longest of time. We're always going to be saying that he's one of those that's coming up. It's the same as, we're having an argument with one of the viewers about the age gap between the two goalkeepers. When you talk about Telango Bedi, we talk about Ronan Williams. He might be 5-6 years older than Ronan Williams, But Williams, when it comes to football, he's a more experienced player. He's played almost 300 matches versus only 40 some odd. I mean, 34 for Taylor in the league. And if you add some cup ties in between, probably just around 50. That's the most he has played at a premiership level. So that always comes into the fray. And you talk about Owen Dagama, having been there with Platinum Stars, having done it all, and then having to get Highlands Park in the National First Division, bringing them back into the Premier Division. He has an experienced campaigner next to him in Alan Fries, who won this trophy when he's still coaching Platinum Stars against the Buccaneers. So there were so many dynamics coming into it. Because when Caetano was sitting on a bench, then when Stewart won it, he was on a bench, but he was not a head coach.
Yeah.
You know, so now to come back and actually win it as a head coach, it's a huge thing for him going forward.
Absolutely.
Because it definitely doesn't count as his.
That doesn't count as either.
if you are the second in charge. So I think it will be a huge boost. And like Jonty said, these players are experienced enough. They've done this over the last 4 or 5 years enough to know that, okay, boys, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You know, even if we share the money or what have you, we know the big prize is to run the marathon and actually try and win the league this season. And I think Gaetano would be the same. You know, not let this. He's not gonna keep mentioning it over and over when results are bad. Hey guys, remember that I won the MTN 8 in September or in October or whenever, you know. He's gonna look. He's gonna look. He's not gonna rest on his laurels. He's gonna look ahead to see if exactly, that's the other thing.
Is the media ever alive to go back and say that's gone, that's history, let's move on?
Let's move
Where
on.
are you now?
You know, you're as good as your last game, blah 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 blah, that kind of stuff. And he's at a club where, and without any disrespect, I think Owen, if he had won it, he can potentially harp on about it. You know, to some degree, to some degree. I don't know what's your take on this, but to some degree, a team that's unfancied, never going to be expected to be title challengers, he can keep beating his chest. Oh, guys, we won a trophy, we did well, but we're still aiming, we have targets. But Gaetano is at an institution where, you know, you have to keep doing it over and over again because there are guys always sitting on the sidelines waiting for that hot seat.
It should have been phenomenal for Owen. He had won it. I mean, if you look at the fact that Highlands Park played one season, got relegated, came back with him, and when they came back strong. I mean, they won the league.
Finished in the top 8.
They won the league in the National First Division, first of all, with so many matches to spare before they even got back and then finished in the top 8, knocking out Chiefs. Out of top 8, yes. People will tell you it's not the same Chiefs. But they knocked out Chiefs. They made sure that they seal a position. And en route to get into the final, conceding just one goal in the final, by the way. You cannot cancel it out. They won 1-0 against Pirates, played 180 minutes with Polokwane, thus conceding a goal, and won it on penalties, got against SuperSport, held their own, lost eventually against SuperSport. A team that has a good record against them anyway. We already knew that everything was stacked against them, given the numbers of the game.
We've spoken about the key player for SuperSport United, the man from Orlando Pirates, Thamsanqa Kapuza. He came into the SuperSport United squad and was very vital for the team. And then his coach, Caetano, in the post-match interview after the match, he made a very sad announcement in his thank you speech that Ukabuza had lost his son during the week, and he went on to play as he did on Saturday. Nobody would have thought that something so tragic had happened to Ukabuza. What does that say about his mental strength?
Well, it's amazing that, you know, he's. Look, I think that it's incredible that he's played the final with this having happened to him. I'm still not 100% sure of the circumstances of what happened. I can't quite believe that he played on some level.
And he kept it from the team.
Because if your son dies, it's like almost the, you know, I mean, why would you play?
Because I'm thinking
Why
about
would you
it
even
now.
be
He
there?
could have been
You know?
totally forgiven for like taking the week off and going to his son's funeral and being with his family. So I mean, it is amazing that he played and he gave such an incredible display in those circumstances. And the players obviously came out afterwards as well and were just like, it's amazing that, you know, he did that. And obviously they were singing in the dressing room apparently, and then, you know, he told them that, and then it sort of, from what I understand it.
So
the mood obviously got somber, as it would, but it's an incredible.
So what the suggestion is that he had actually kept it from his teammates.
He had kept it from his
He kept it
teammates
from
because
everyone.
he did
That's
not
the
want
suggestion.
to.
I mean, purely on a footballing level, but going beyond that for Gabuza, it's like it's like a brilliant turnaround.
Yeah.
You know,
That's exactly what I'm
got
getting
his
at, because I
chance.
wouldn't be. I can't think, a loss of a family member, let alone my own
Flesh and
child,
blood.
and then all of a sudden, I wouldn't have been in no state to be part of that,
if you look at it, I mean, we remember when Ramagalela's child passed away.
Yes.
7-year-old child passed away, and I mean, Owen Dagama eventually gave him time off for him to deal with that and moan. And remember when he came back also, he was not the same. He played literally, he was out within the first 20 minutes of the game, and he watched from the stands when they're playing in the final. So it talks about the different dynamics. I mean, Gabuza felt that, you know what, I'm going to do what I love doing. My child would probably be happier seeing me doing what I'm doing and go out there and do this. And also it brings huge memories for Gabuza, because the last time he won a trophy, it was at that venue in 2009 when I was still playing for Golden Arrows before he made a move to Orlando Pirates. And he will remember that then when they were there, it was something to celebrate. They were underdogs at Golden Arrows. Nobody gave him a chance against a dominant Ajax Cape Town side. And they won that by 6-0. What, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And for him to come back at the same venue and walk away victorious, winning a trophy, in my opinion, I believe that he also deserves to be the last man standing, given his performance. I mean, besides scoring the 3 goals, he has been supply of 2 goals. He was involved in the creation of the goal that was scored in the final itself.
Yeah.
He has played a different role where he has been a holding guy and supplying Grobler and Co to go about their business, scoring the goals for the team. So for me, I think it shows huge mental strength. I mean, he's beyond. I mean, this is what people always talk about and say sport can make you things that are unbelievable. And I think that's just one typical situation to say he has gone out and said, I'm going to leave it all on the field of play, and he did exactly that on Saturday.